Morning, fellow builders. Similarly to last week, I'll just get right into it. Last week, I launched a code line tracker, so to speak, and this week, I launched a warranty tracker for you guys. And it's a pretty interesting build from a couple of different reasons that I'm going to outline a bit later. I've done a couple of new things as I do every week for the first time. And as usual, we're going to go into why I built this app, how does it work, the tech stack, things I did for the first time ever, as I mentioned, things that I want to improve, challenges, and the final score for this build. Um, as being a member of Starter Story, I've had the opportunity to read a lot about problems that other people faced or about their browsing history, stuff like that, as a part of the exercise in one of the Starter Story academies where you're like supposed to design your first ever product. I've seen this problem being mentioned by a couple of people where they're like, I don't have a place to track all my warranties. I don't know when I bought products or when they're due to be replaced, or if I got to replace them, I can't find the receipt. Like, I've seen people having an issue not having a centralized place where they can not just track the numbers, but also keep the receipts, keep the files and everything else. And then when I think about myself, like I'm one of those people too. Like, I got hundreds of gadgets, devices, appliances. You got a car, you got a piece of furniture that you bought. Like, anything in the world pretty much has a warranty these days. But I have no idea where those are. I cannot remember when I bought any of them, or very usually I can't remember where I bought them either. So, you know, um, I Googled it, just went and tried to do a little bit of research on this, and I only saw one app doing it, really. So that felt a little bit weird, even though it's very hard to monetize. I get it. Like, it's an idea where people will use it once, dump all of the products immediately, and then there's not a huge value proposition for them to make it stickier for them to use and pay a subscription. But still, it felt a little bit weird because I've seen a lot of competition in other verticals and other products that I built. So this time around, I did some research before I started building. The app itself is extremely simple, and I will explain why a little bit later. But like, you just register, create an account, basically, add a warranty for your product or your products, and then just sit back and relax and wait for notifications to come as a reminder that your warranty will expire in 30 or any number of days that you want. Let's just jump right into the app itself so that I can demo it for you. So, starting with the landing page, this is the first time where I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the landing page itself, because I spent the most time ever on any of my projects building a landing page. As you can see, I was able to uh, do these fancy transitions, then this fancy carousel with the design. And I'm going to explain you how and where I found the elements that I used. The app itself, again, super simple. You just go to your dashboard. You have to see all of your warranties. As you can see, again, a lot of focus on the design, a lot of focus on the effects, way more compared to what I would usually do. Um, some filtering, which is pretty easy and pretty obvious to do. Um, Once you access your warranties, you can see a little bit more details about them. If you attach the receipt as a PDF, you will be able to interact with it and print it out, see your product images, obviously edit and delete and print your details about your warranty. Um, to add a warranty, you access just a very, very simple form. Fill out the product name, purchase date, duration, retailer where it was bought, category belongs to, and just upload your receipt and your product image. Extremely simple. Like, the app could not be any simpler than that, which is why I decided to put a little bit more effort into the design aspects itself. Um, there's also this in-app notification modal. That's something that I never done before. So I've built a functionality where I can actually get people to receive in-app and email notifications for critical events. And then aside from that, they can have a complete profile, adjust their notification settings, and then I also plan to add multi-user support. And if you saw it here on the dashboard itself, or better say within the actual warranty, I also want to maybe at some point build a smart claims assistant. Again, app is extremely simple and it is supposed to be extremely simple, even though that's not necessarily how it all started originally, right? The tech stack that I use to get to this final product is fairly similar, like I do every week, with a couple of new additions. So aside from Lovable and Supabase that I always use, Recent definitely becomes a pretty standard part of my stack. This time around, I use it for email notifications. I, for the first time, use this website. It's called 21st.dev. And that's where I got these animations that you saw on the homepage from. Right, so this particular thing and this particular thing came from 21st Dev. Right, 21st Dev is kind of a library of design tools that you can use, and I can maybe even show it to you right now. So 21st Dev is, as you can see, it's pretty simple. So you just come in here and you come up through the navigation, you pick what you need. So let's say you want a carousel and you want to load this up into your project. What I would do is I would just take the uh, actual animation itself and just go to this top right corner where it says copy prompt, and you can then copy the prompt into Lovable and have it build something out. Obviously, tweak it a little bit, work towards it, kind of to direct it to say, hey, I don't want this exact thing. I want you to adjust it for my use case, right? And then Lovable, because this is pretty well written code, obviously, pretty clean, understands exactly what you want to do, and thus the final result is pretty easy to get. Like these animations took almost no time to build. Like the only thing I had to do, obviously, is give it the image files, but that's pretty much it, right? Then I also use Vercel for deployment of custom domain. This is something that I'm starting to do on a standard basis whenever I buy a domain. And this time around, I also recorded one of those fancy demo videos that Screen Studio does for Mac users. I'm not a Mac user. I'm a Windows guy, so we don't have an app like you guys do. And that's why I had to use Tella. I want to say that I'm super proud of the fact that this is my first ever progressive web app. This is why I advise it to be used on mobile. So I can go into that when I start talking about things that I did for the first time ever and explain you how I got to build up PWA. The biggest takeaway for me here for this week is build your project early. If it doesn't work, start over, revert to an older version. Brute force never does anything good for you, right? So like on this time around, I had to learn that the hard way, but I think I'm at a place where I'm going to start doing that more often and way faster. As for things that I've done for the first time, I remember I built the email notifications and in-app notifications from scratch. That felt good. I also completed GAuth process, so you can use Google to log in, create your account. I absolutely hate Google and how complicated they've made it and how redundant it is compared to every other API in the world that I've tried to use to get to a point to use it. I get that they have to have multiple layers of verification, but it really feels like they could do a way better job at it. I also did QA before deployment, so I knew that everything was working before I deployed it. Even though to some people watching this may seem like a pretty straightforward thing, I usually don't do it. I just build and then release, and then I get others to tell me what's buggy. Now I've fixed my own bugs. I created a progressive web app for the first time ever. It actually is way easier than one would think. With the right instructions, Lovable can build this in a single prompt, which happened in my case. So right now, if you're on mobile and you're accessing my app, you would get prompted to download it to your device. And at that point, when you download it, install it, it would really feel and work as if you downloaded an app from an app store, right? Even though technically you did not do it, it's still a web app. It's just progressive, right? Again, I built the animations that I mentioned, and print-friendly layouts, and then the app demo that I also referred to previous. So a lot of new things for me, really, because the core functionality of the app, as you can see, the adding of the warranty form, that's a couple of minutes of work. Everything else was just finally working a little bit more on the design side and thinking through some things and working on email templates a little bit more, just doing the regular things other people would do when they build their projects. Now, there's a couple of things that I'm thinking of doing, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to. And the first one is the one that I originally started with, which is what I'm going to expand on the challenges. I may use Google Vision API and or recognition basically to get the warranty form pre-filled. So the add warranty form would be pre-filled once I upload a document. I also plan to add multi-user support and a claims filing assistant. But again, that's something just as a nice to have at this point for me. The biggest problem I faced this week is that the initial scope I made by AI was over-engineered and overcomplicated. It advised me to use tons of AI, tons of APIs, a lot of logic that, I spent 2 days on, and I never got it to work. And then I just decided to hey, instead of fixing all of this, I'm just going to delete absolutely everything. The file, the project, everything, and start it from scratch and finish the app in 2 hours. And then I think that as a result of the first issue, the second issue emerged, which is when I would face issues with the core functionality, I guess just to satisfy my need for success while building, I got distracted a lot with design work, right? I was lucky that it didn't cost me much this time around, but usually I don't do that. I stay very disciplined in the sense that if I'm building backend or if I'm building the core function, that's what I'm doing. There's no deviation. But here I kind of went back and forth a little bit. And again, I think it was driven with the frustration of the fact that I couldn't get it to work. Because of all of this, I'm going to grade myself higher on the landing page this time around than lower on the app. Higher on the landing page because, again, I spent most time ever doing it, and I think it really looks as good as it should. I tested a couple of more advanced moving, crazy type animations, but this type of app does not require that, right? The app itself now works as it should be. I could have added maybe a little bit more features potentially, but it definitely would have been a 10 out of 10 if I did not have a 2-day setback. But I think it was necessary, as it's another learning lesson for me. If you want to have your warranties and your receipts and your products tracked, just visit warrantytracker.app. The app is free. It's going to be free as all of my other apps. And to help me grow and build more apps, subscribe to my 1550 challenge YouTube channel. And as any other week, keep shipping, guys.